In a previous episode, we've discussed divisions with negative numbers. In today's episode, I will teach you everything about negative fractions. I will repeat a few things about fractions you've already learned, but now everything will have a small negative twist in them. So sit back, relaxed, make sure your notebook is ready to copy some important information and be amazed by the power of math. A small recap on fractions. If I want to add or subtract fractions, the denominators have to be the same. If they are not, we have to change them by finding a common denominator. Then the numerators change accordingly and we can add or subtract the fractions. If I want to multiply fractions, the denominators don't have to be the same, but I can't work with mixed numbers. If I see any mixed numbers, I have to change them into an improper fraction by placing the whole number back in a fraction. Then I calculate the answer by multiplying the numerators and by multiplying the denominators. And of course, if possible, I always try to simplify fractions. So turn any improper fraction into a mixed number and make the numerator and denominator as small as possible. All of these rules also apply to fractions that are negative. So if I see fractions like these, I would turn minus 6 over 9 into minus 2 over 3. This one, minus 4 over 3, becomes minus 1 over 3. And minus 25 over minus 4 turns into 6 1 over 4. You'll notice that the minus sign is in front of the fraction instead of being part of the numerator or the denominator. So even minus 1 over 3 can be simplified into minus 1 over 3. Then adding and subtracting. Let's say I start with this exercise. Minus 4 over 5 plus 2 over 7. First we have to make sure the denominators are the same. The LCM of 5 and 7 is 35. So that turns our exercise into minus 28 over 35 plus 10 over 35. The answer will be a fraction with 35 as the denominator, and the new numerator will be equal to minus 28 plus 10, which is equal to minus 18. So we end up with the fraction minus 18 over 35. This fraction can be simplified any further, so we're done here. As negative fractions can pose a problem, it may be a good idea to practice this with two more exercises. First, we look at this exercise. 2 over 3 minus 4 over 5. First, we change the denominators. The LCM of 3 and 5 is 15, which means we receive the line 10 over 15 minus 12 over 15. The correct numerator can be calculated by 10 minus 12, which is equal to minus 2. Our answer is now minus 2 over 15. This fraction cannot be simplified, so that means we are done. Next exercise. Let's make an exercise where we subtract a fraction from a negative fraction. Minus 1, 3 over 4, minus 2, 5 over 6. The denominators are not the same, so we start by changing those. The LCM of 4 and 6 is 12, so I change the first fraction into minus 1, 9 over 12, and the second fraction into 2, 10 over 12. You don't have to, but sometimes it is a smart move to move those whole numbers back in a fraction, especially when we are subtracting fractions. To turn a mixed number in a fraction, we have to multiply the whole number with the denominator and add that to the existing numerator. So 1 times 12 plus 9, which means our new fraction is minus 21 over 12. We do the same for the second fraction. 2 times 12 plus 10, which is equal to 34. So we now have the line minus 21 over 12 minus 34 over 12. To calculate the correct numerator, we have to calculate the subtraction minus 21 minus 34. This will give me minus 55. So the answer is minus 55 over 12. But by now you should know that we should simplify fractions as much as possible. First we place the minus sign outside the fraction. Then we turn it into a mixed number. 12 can fit 4 times into 55, so we place a 4 in front of the fraction. We look once more at the fraction part and check whether it can be simplified. For this fraction we can't simplify any further, so our final answer is minus 4, 7 over 12. Then on to multiplying. We are going to calculate 1, 2 over 5 times minus 3 over 4. Mixed numbers are a big no with multiplying, so I turn it into 7 over 5 times minus 3 over 4. Then we can do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. As we are multiplying a positive number with a negative number, our answer should be negative. So I'm placing the minus front in front of the fraction. And that means our answer is minus 21 over 20. This is an improper fraction, which can be simplified into minus 1 over 20. Let me do one more exercise with multiplying before we continue on to the next part of the video. This is a nice exercise. Minus 1 over 6 times minus 2 over 7. First we place the whole numbers back into the fraction. This means we now have the line minus 7 over 6 times minus 15 over 7. With multiplying fractions, we don't have to worry about the denominators not being the same. We just do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. But this exercise has a nice twist. Because the numerator of one fraction is equal to the denominator of the other, we could theoretically ignore them and only look at the remaining numbers. By doing this, you can skip a step in the simplifying part of this exercise. And as we are multiplying two negative fractions, the result will be positive. So I can delete the negative signs. We now have the line 15 over 6. We turn the improper fraction into a mixed number and simplify as much as possible. Our final answer for this multiplication is 1 over 2. On to the new part, dividing fractions. Dividing fractions and multiplying fractions are quite similar. That's understandable as multiplying and dividing are each other's opposite. The opposite here is also literally, because to solve a division problem you have to multiply with its reciprocal. The reciprocal of a fraction is just the numerator and the denominator being switched. So the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. The reciprocal of 5 over 8 is 8 over 5. And the reciprocal of 8 is 1 over 8, because 8 itself can be written as 8 over 1. And the reciprocal of minus 2 over 3 is minus 3 over 5. This might need some explaining. You see, minus 2 over 3 can also be written as minus 5 over 3. And the reciprocal then becomes minus 3 over 5. So make sure you turn those mixed numbers into fractions first. We can then solve a division problem by changing the second fraction into its reciprocal. So 2 over 5 divided by 4 over 7 becomes 2 over 5 times 7 over 4. Then we do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So we end up with 14 over 20, which can be simplified into 7 over 10. And if I have the exercise minus 2 over 3 divided by minus 1 over 5, I should turn everything into an improper fraction before I continue, as we are going to multiply later. So I get minus 8 over 3 divided by minus 6 over 5. We then turn it into a multiplication, so minus 8 over 3 times minus 5 over 6. Negative times negative becomes positive, so I can ignore the negative signs. Then 8 times 5 and 3 times 6. I get 40 over 18. Turning this into a mixed number, and I get 2, 4 over 18. And simplifying the fraction gives me the final answer of 2, 2 over 9. Let's end this video with one last exercise. Minus 1, 1 over 2, minus 1 over 3 divided by 5 over 6. The order of operations states divisions before subtractions. That means we are first going to solve this part. As you now know, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So I flip the 5 over 6 and receive 6 over 5. I now have the line minus 1, 1 over 2, minus 1 over 3 times 6 over 5. A multiplication between fractions is just a simple job for us. Numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. We now have the line minus 1, 1 over 2, minus 6 over 15. Subtracting fractions is only allowed if the denominators are the same. The LCM of 2 and 15 is equal to 30, so I turn both fractions into 30ths. Minus 1, 15 over 30, minus 12 over 30. Be careful at this stage. This is a negative fraction and this is a subtraction. So we end up with minus 1, 27 over 30, not minus 1, 3 over 30. That's because I need to calculate minus 15 minus 12, which is equal to minus 27. This is the end of this video. In the next video, I will be teaching you the basics of the coordinate plane. We will be discussing locations with the use of coordinates using set of axes. So be sure to watch that video as well. See you next time. Bye bye! So, you managed to reach the end of this video and still want more? I like your attitude. Then allow me to reward your enthusiasm by explaining why the flipping of fractions work. Let's say I have 10 liters of water and I have to divide it into bottles of ½ liter. How many bottles do I need? If your answer is 20, then you are correct. Because 2 bottles make up 1 liter, I would need 20 bottles to reach 10 liters. So 10 divided by a half is the same as 10 times 2. By flipping the fraction and turning it into a multiplication, I receive the same answer. But the more mathematical explanation is as follows. Let's say we have this exercise. 2 over 3 divided by 4 over 5. I could write this division as a fraction. By now multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number, the value doesn't change. Just like 1 over 4 has the same value as 2 over 8. Both the numerator and the denominator are multiplied by 2, but they are still the same. If I choose to multiply with the reciprocal of the denominator, I get 2 over 3 times 5 over 4 all over 4 over 5 times 5 over 4. This last part is what's best, because 4 over 5 times 5 over 4 is equal to 20 over 20, which is equal to 1. So, actually I now have the fraction 2 over 3 times 5 over 4 all over 1. And all over 1 is a bit redundant. I just write 2 over 3 times 5 over 4. And that means that for solving a division problem with a fraction, you just have to multiply with its reciprocal, easy as that. Of course, you don't need to be able to fully understand this. Even I spent most of my childhood not knowing why dividing a fraction is the same as multiplying with its reciprocal. But hey, you are never too old to learn. As I said, In the next video, we'll be starting with the coordinate plane. I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye bye!